Congress win in this election?
A defeat that feels like a victory, but still a defeat.
For the BJP supporters, it was majority nahi hai, non-majority BJP.
A victory is, शोक समारोह में बदल जाता है.
The Prime Minister was very confident कि बंगाल में तो हमारा seats बढ़ेगा, वोट बढ़ेगा, सब बढ़ेगा.
Entire 8% plus so much more of the Congress vote share transferred to the BJP.
Rahul Gandhi said, देश ने बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि वो नरेंद्र मोदी को नहीं चाहते.
भाई कम हुई है, पर अपनी औकात तो देख ले, तेरे से तो बहुत ज्यादा है ना.
Rift with RSS factor. How much truth in your understanding is there in that?
That every RSS worker is worth their weight in gold.
It is an alliance government now. You're not a brute majority anymore.
If you individually take out 13, it doesn't fall below 272. And if you individually take out 11, it definitely doesn't fall below 272. This will really test his alliance skills. देखते हैं क्या होता है.
Elections 2024 are over. The votes are counted. The new government, the NDA government, has taken oaths, sworn in. Now, as the election dust settles, we are going to look at what's happening right now. With 240 seats, BJP is in introspection mode. With 99 seats, Congress is in jubilation mode. And with 37 seats, Akhilesh Yadav is feeling back in the saddle in Uttar Pradesh once again. Of course, a lot of people are feeling a lot of things, but we have with us Abhijit Iyer Mitra, a defense analyst turned political analyst. We're going to discuss with him all the questions that you, the viewer, have had in your minds after these elections are over. What next? What's coming up next? Will an alliance government work? Does this election verdict mean Prime Minister Modi's popularity has dipped, and which is visible in the election results? Do you think that to be the case?
Look, he won his seat by what, 1.5 lakhs, which is less than before, but that's like saying 1.5 lakh people don't matter. It's such an insult. They still won what, 236 million seats. Last election, they won 229 million. So their actual vote has gone up by about what, 7 million votes. You're literally saying 237 million, 36 million people are irrelevant. And this losing popular mandate, I'm sorry, if 240 is losing popular mandate, what was Manmohan Singh 1 and 2? I mean, Manmohan Singh 1 was what, 160? And Manmohan Singh 2 was 206. Yes. What exactly is that then? So, I really don't, this must be this, school of progressive mathematics, vokery that's come into the system where 2 plus 2 no longer equals 4. And basically statistics is whatever you want to make it out to be. Let's be very clear. The BJP hasn't done as well as before. It suffered a very serious reverse. Has it lost the mandate? No. Because you have a pre-poll alliance. Forget post-poll aligning. It has a pre-poll alliance that got what, 293 or 296. So unless you're willing to believe that in some alternate universe 226 is less than 293, is greater than 293, it happens. Some of our MPs are majorly woke, so they might actually believe in these woke mathematics. I don't. I still believe in the old school mathematics.
Rahul Gandhi, he did a press conference where he said, देश ने बहुत स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि वो नरेंद्र मोदी को नहीं चाहते. देश ने स्पष्ट रूप से तो नहीं कहा है अकॉर्डिंग टू यू. नरेंद्र मोदी की पॉपुलैरिटी कम हुई है. डू यू, आई मीन, dipped, okay, not lessen but dipped. Is that something that you would agree with?
भाई कम हुई है, पर अपनी औकात तो देख ले, तेरे से तो बहुत ज्यादा है ना. तो उसका गया है तो तेरा क्या है? 130 million votes.
Yes, approximately.
Telling a chap with 236 million votes and 240 odd seats that you have lost popularity and some mandate against you. I mean, give me a break. This is a classic case of, the pot calling. It's worse than the pot calling the kettle black. This is the Hindi thing, ulta chor kotwal ko dante karke. So it's a bit like that.
The Congress has come back. It's with renewed vigor, largely because from 44 seats in 2014, they moved to 53 seats, now 99 seats. Just one short of the magical 3-figure number. But still, it's a far cry from the 44 seats of 2014. So clearly, they're feeling rejuvenated, re-enthused. Um, how would you describe the Congress win in this election?
A defeat that feels like a victory, but still a defeat. For example, me, in my 10th standard board exam, in the first 3 semesters, the internal exams we used to get, I got 9 out of 100 in maths. Then in the second, in the half yearly, I got what? 11 out of 100 in maths. And my teacher was like, man, at least you got double digits. Thank God for that. And in the pre-boards, I got 8 out of 100 again. Right. So it's a different matter that in the boards I managed to get 78. That's a dusri baat hai. But in these three, going from 9 to 11 down to 8. 9 to 11 still seems like a jump, right? But you're still only double digit. You still haven't crossed that 3-digit mark. You're still nowhere. You are so far away from the leader in the field. You're 100 million votes away from the leader. That's like what? The margin of difference between you and the leader is something like 70%. It's a bit rich to think of that as a rejuvenation or a revival. Just to put this in context again, this is the third lowest tally that the Congress has had in terms of seats. Even Sitaram Kesri, who was the most uninspiring leader the Congress could have ever had, never had such a low tally. Narasimha Rao, who was apparently not very inspiring, also never got such a terrible tally. Manmohan Singh never got such a tally. So, for a guy who was called Manmohan Singh, unfairly so, for Sitaram Kesri, who had no charisma, and for Narasimha Rao, who apparently had even less charisma, I mean, even by your own standards, I'm not judging you by Modi standards, I'm just judging you by past Congress president standards. How is this a victory? See, this is a classic case of a chap who used to get 9 out of 100, suddenly getting 40 out of 100 and feeling happy, but fail to fail hi hai na?
Fail to fail hi hai, that's fine. But in terms of the body language and in terms of the optimism and in terms of the celebrations in the Congress, that tells an entirely different story.
Yes.
What do you think is the future of the Congress from here on, the next 5 years? They were at 44, then 53, then 99. Do you think 2029, therefore, is going to be definitely much better for them?
Not necessarily. Mind you, I get all my election predictions wrong, so that's a different matter. But I think this is very much a black swan event, and I'll tell you why. All the reasons they're giving for their victory, the defeat which feels like a victory, are not reasons that you can rationalize in every geography. They're extremely, post facto justification for this so-called victory. I think this is very, very much a black swan event. I don't think Rahul Gandhi is somebody, he has demonstrated himself to be somebody who does not course correct, as opposed to, say, Narendra Modi, who does course correct. I would very much call this a black swan event. In the next election, if it's not a black swan event, add another 20. If it is a black swan event, back to 50s and 40s is where you go.
Why would you say that? Because any Congress Karyakarta, if you talk to today, they will tell you, and they will talk to you about a Rahul Gandhi whose Bharat Jodo Yatra worked. They will talk about a Rahul Gandhi who went out and clicked with the voters with his Constitution Badal Denge narrative. A campaign promise of the Congress about giving khatakhat money into the bank accounts of women of poor households, that having worked. So that having worked in the sense that that's the rationale that they have for increasing their vote share and increasing their seat count in this election.
I would argue this differently. I would argue that these Bharat Jodo Yatras, they've had very, very mixed results, right? The first Bharat Jodo Yatra produced a big victory in Karnataka, right? Okay, I'll give you credit for it. What about the second Bharat Jodo Yatra, which resulted in such a massive this thing in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and this one. So the only one state that they won was Telangana after that, right? So again, the problem here is they'll give you all these reasons: Rahul Gandhi, Bharat Jodo Yatra, etc., etc., etc. They don't stand the test of sampling. If you just can't extrapolate it all over the place. I would say this is more an election that the BJP lost, and where the agglomeration of the opposition parties brought certain tactical advantages to bear. This isn't a Rahul Gandhi victory, it's a BJP loss. I think it's a personal loss for Modi, yes. Has it hurt brand Modi? Yes. Because remember, it wasn't BJP ki guarantee, it was Modi ki guarantee. And is it a validation of Rahul Gandhi? I'm sure Rahul Gandhi will take it so. In that sense, it's going to lead to an ossification of Rahul Gandhi's thought. He will now be working on the belief that he is hit on the right formula. It's going to get repeated. And you know, the easiest thing for an enemy to do is what your opponent thinks is most difficult for you to do, which is what? In UP, it's to win back Dalits and Thakurs. In Rajasthan, it's to turn back the Rajput revolt. Rajput Thakur, same thing really. Yeah. In Bengal, I still don't understand what happened. You turn back those three states. Can they do it? I think they very much can. They've done it before. Why can't they do it again? I think they'll do it. Let's see. I'm not convinced that this is a Rahul Gandhi victory at all. What my suggestion would be, precisely because, you know, the social media, whatever. Was the BJP lazy with social media? Was it lazy with campaigning? Yes. Was this, I will still hold that one RSS Karyakarta is worth 10 of these new Karyakartas, because the RSS Karyakarta actually works. These new Karyakartas, pata nahi what they do. But I will still say that it was a micro revolt, an agglomeration of micro revolts happening in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, UP and Bengal that added up. It was many tactical defeats. But remember, a series of tactical defeats does not mean you've lost the war. You've lost some battles, but you've still won the war.
Why would, okay, you went down into the specifics of these states. I just want to deeper dive into some of these states, especially Uttar Pradesh, where the BJP thought they should be winning over 70 seats, where exit polls gave them between, most of them combined gave them between 62 to 72 seats. Some gave even more than that. None of that happened. On the ground, what was the miscalculation? Losing even Ayodhya, for instance, that's a big letdown for a party that went into the elections with 62 seats in its bag, went into the elections with a Ram Mandir event just having been concluded a few months earlier, went into the elections believing that they have the right chief minister, double engine ki sarkar.
Clearly that wasn't the case, was it? I mean, you've got, now look, the problem here is anybody who thinks that they know the internal workings of the BJP is probably fibbing, because we know nothing of what happens internally in the BJP. It's only the rumor factory and the gossip factory that keep coming out. So one gossip is ki, bhai, this was, Yogi had recommended about 35 people and all of them were nixed. And these are exactly the 35 odd seats that they lost. We don't know if it's true or not. But I've heard something else as well, which puts the blame entirely on Yogi, which is that all the MPs and MLAs, they had no agency of their own. Normally, things that MPs and MLAs can get done with a phone call was not doable because Yogi had centralized all the power on himself, right? And there was bad candidate selection from the center, which is to say, in that sense, that Yogi would not give agency to people he had not selected who did not have direct access to him. I don't know what is the case. I think we'll know this only 10-15 years down the line. For example, Shining India, everybody bought that nonsense narrative that it was a Shining India that did Vajpayee in 2004, and we now know factually that that is a completely incorrect misreading of the situation. In India, this is the problem. You see, we're a statistical society which does not want to first of all, we don't collect statistics properly. It's a joke. And then we tend to go down very strange paths. Here, I think the main thing is a Dalit revolt. Why it happened, I'm not too sure, but in Ayodhya, we know for a fact what happened. That on one hand, you put up a very weak candidate, assuming that, Modi brand candidate par bhi chalega. The second was the fact that they put up a very strong Pasi candidate, and the nara bhi jo tha na, it was a very catchy nara. Na Mathura, na Kashi, ab ki baar Pasi. Right? So that was, and yeah, it's a majority area. What do you think is going to happen out there? So very smartly played out there. But what about areas like Amethi, which have seen actual development under Smriti Irani, who still got defeated? Why did that happen? I don't think we still know. We never thought, I think even now I am not able to comprehend how a Dalit, non-Jatav Dalit vote transference happens from the BJP to the Samajwadi Party, which represents the actual face of oppression. Right? That is where the caste divide is. I don't know how that happened. I think the BJP possibly underestimated the possibility that that could happen. I mean, they're not going to vote for SP. They have to vote for us. But there was also something very wrong with the caste management, I think, because the way UP politics works is that winner takes all. So when the Yadavs are in power, everything is Yadav, everyone is Yadav, all the power is with Yadav, and Akhilesh Yadav sort of delegates powers. I mean, SP MPs can actually do things. SP MLAs can actually do things. Sure, after a certain level it has to go, but that kind of freedom is not afforded to BJP MPs and BJP MLAs. What you're going to do? So when the Thakurs come, and this was the thing where Thakurs were crucial in defeating the BJP in lots of other seats. I'm not going to take names because several of them are my friends, but they told me they were out to screw the BJP. I didn't take it seriously. For example, my RA was telling me, my research assistant was telling me, Bhaiya, ab ki baar 30-40 seat to kati BJP ke. I was like, oh, phat, chup hai, tere ko kuch bhi nahi pata hai, tu gawar hai, chup. Egg on my face, and he ends up looking very, very smart. I end up looking very, very stupid, not for the first time. But his thing was that Thakurs felt insulted. And I was like, you tell me, what more could the Thakurs have wanted? They've got Rajnath Singh in the center. They've got a Thakur chief minister. Technically, a sannyasin is not meant to have caste, but he is born a Thakur. You have most of your bureaucrats as Thakur, but you know what the thing was? It's like, that's not enough. It's a winner takes all. When the Yadavs had it, they had everything. But now the Thakurs have it, we don't have everything. Without getting the caste calibration completely awry, right? And of course, the thing I still haven't wrapped my head around is this Dalit vote transference to the SP. I don't know how it was pulled off. I have not heard of any explanation. But here's the thing. How was it pulled off in UP but not in Bihar? Right? Bihar also you had Yadavs. You had Tejashwi Yadav carry out a very high-pitched campaign. Rahul put in a lot of effort into Bihar as well. So how does it happen in UP but not in Bihar?
Perhaps because Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul, the Jodi in UP, and again, it's a hypothesis, Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Jodi in UP, and the whole constitution badal denge narrative. Probably.
But see, why would somebody on this side, I mean, they're adjoined states, why would somebody on this side of the border buy the constitution badal denge narrative? And on this side, not buy the constitution badal denge narrative? The only thing that comes to my mind is the difference is the two chief ministers out there. Okay, so I fundamentally believe it was a very, very localized to UP revolt, a very localized to West Bengal failure of the BJP. Perhaps the decimation of the BJP cadre after the 2021 election didn't work. A very localized revolt of the Rajputs in Rajasthan, and the Maratha agitation possibly. Apparently, even that is not true, and apparently even this explanation, I was informed yesterday, that in fact the Rajputs did not go against the BJP in Rajasthan. and the Marathas didn't cost them seats in Maharashtra. I don't know yet. I've not gotten down to that yet, because I'm still obsessed with how the Dalit vote got transferred to the SP. I am not able to wrap it. It violates every rule of social dynamics.
But there was a social engineering that the Modi Amit Shah duo had done in UP 2014, 2019. That social engineering seems to have been done by Akhilesh Yadav this time.
Is it that the social engineering was done by Akhilesh Yadav, or the BJP failed in its calibration? See, I would say that they probably became too ideological. What is the point of Hindutva? Hindutva is where your Hindu identity subsumes your caste identity. And I think when people say there was a bad selection of candidates, it means caste candidates weren't chosen effectively. Which means they probably became too ideological and thought they had overcome those caste equations. It was counting your chickens before they hatch. I suspect, this is all speculation, because till about 10, 12 years down the line, I don't think we will still have an accurate representation of what happened in this election, because let's face it, everybody wants to foist their own narrative onto this election.
Right. One other narrative, and therefore, because you specifically talk of Uttar Pradesh and localized reasons for the BJP's debacle, so-called debacle in these elections, were very specific to UP, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, um, Rajasthan, of course. But in UP and in Rajasthan and in Maharashtra, the other factor that many psephologist friends have sort of spoken about, obviously without going on record about it, is the rift with RSS factor. How much truth in your understanding is there in that?
Again, I don't know. Every time I've called up all my friends in the RSS and says, "Ye sach tha, nahi tha," they're like, "Beta, this is the typical RSS way. They'll never agree with anything or deny anything. They'll be like, "Beta, ab hum kya bole? Humne to jaake apna kartavya kiya."
Huh.
I think that lack the belief, because Nalin Mehta brings this out in his book about how 2004 was lost basically because at that point the RSS to BJP ratio was 1:1.25 or 1.5, I forget exactly what. And the RSS refused to come out and campaign at that time. And they decided they were never going to do that again because it was the wrong thing to do. It cost India very dearly for the next 10 years. And the Hindutva project very dearly for the next 10 years. So what ends up happening is, I have not gotten any concrete answers this time, but I think Modi was very sure because he had a 30:1 ratio. He had built up the party so much that there's a 30:1 ratio. I'm assuming it's 30:1 because when Nalin Mehta wrote his book, it was 26:1 ratio
so by which time you
BJP to RSS. Yeah. Now, one thing we have to accept is that every RSS worker is worth their weight in gold because they are probably 10 to 15 times more committed, loyal and disciplined than your non-RSS karyakartas are. If you go to the RSS office, you just see, every time I want to curse the RSS, I'm like, yeah, it just feels wrong doing it, BJP ki to main bhar bhar ke gali deta hu, but not the RSS. They work. Did they overstate the numeric superiority of their own workers as opposed to the RSS and JP Nadda's now infamous
statement?
Yeah. I'm not too sure. Because, the RSS isn't the type. They threw that tantrum once in 2004. I don't think they're the types that are going to throw that tantrum again. They learn from their mistakes. Again, this is something that will have to be coaxed out from them in the next 10, 15 years. Everybody I'm asking from the BJP says, yes, we ignored them and they didn't work for us. But that's not what the RSS is saying. See, so who do I take at face value out here? I'd any day take the RSS at face value over the BJP. I think it was a mix of both. The RSS did work, but they weren't involved by the BJP in campaigning, so they couldn't have the impact that they should have had.
What about, Mohan Bhagwat's first statement after the results, and he says that, He said that a true sevak is never arrogant. In polls, decorum was not kept or maintained. That clearly signifies for a layperson like me, Modi-led BJP.
Does it? Because you tell me, पिछले poll में क्या decorum था? Huh? So 2019, if you're going by, what is the lack? I think the only lack of decorum in this particular poll is what Modi saying Ghuspeti and
Mangal Sutra and all
Mangal
of that.
Sutra, but the previous campaign saw a lot worse. 2014 by all parties, and 2014 saw even worse. You know, Maut Ke Saudagar went on. It was used much earlier, but it went on cropping up in the 2014 elections and things like that. So, what decorum exactly are we talking about? Is it actually directed? You know, the RSS is very good at this. It can be interpreted any way you want. Is it actually directed at the Congress? Because he also says in that same statement that a lot of the misinformation and lies was directed at us, the RSS, which, you know, they never defend themselves in public, but it was. I think the BJP social media game was very, very lax. But then again, if it was lax, how is it that Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, it doesn't affect you? Is it that, say, Dhruv Rathi and Ravish Kumar are hated in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh? See, this is what I'm saying. Not one explanation that we've been given so far out in public
So in that
stands up to the test of consistency, which is why I think this was a series of micro revolts that happened. And you know, Indira Gandhi's famous dictum after the emergency, we alienated all the people at the same time. And what she told Lee Kuan Yew when he had come for apparently Republic Day or something, you know, he asked, "There's riots happening everywhere," and she said, "Yeah, that's like a pressure cooker. You know, it keeps whistling so that it doesn't blow." Maybe that dictum wasn't followed. I think, but again, you know, this is just speculation. I think on balance, because none of the explanations, social media, getting your caste calibration right, getting your messaging on point, Mangal Sutra not working and Khatakhat working, they're just not applicable across the board. So clearly, none of us has the right explanation. And I can, the only explanation, therefore, is one of a series of micro revolts.
Right. So clearly, unlike 2014 and 2019, this was not the same rationale that one used to give at that time, that vote in the name of Modi. A national election, the voter votes differently. A local election, the voter votes differently. This time, perhaps that dictum has been overturned, and it seems that people voted locally for different reasons.
Voted hyper locally for different reasons. The question is, what are those reasons? See, and I think you'll have to do a seat by seat dissection to see what exactly happened. Because even there, you know, there are some seats, for example, in which Thakurs made the BJP win. Right? There are areas where, for example, Mayawati ensured that the vote transference wasn't enough, about 20 seats, in where she saw to it that the vote transference didn't happen and the BJP won. What is happening out here, we don't know, right? And you know, the problem, of course, is that a lot of our psephology is based on Western statistical principles, which I don't think apply themselves to a very good cut, copy, paste. Because remember, most of the psephologists actually got their voting percentages spot on. Slightly less for the BJP, slightly more for the Congress. The question was, how did those voting percentage accuracy translate into such a big
discrepancy in terms of
seat share, right? Which we'll never know. Maybe we'll never know. Again, हिंदुस्तान में ना हर चीज 10-15 साल के बाद ही पता चल जाता है. So, for example, on my way here, the greatest ecological disaster to befall India is the eucalyptus, which you see, right? The rapacious way in which it destroys water tables. Yes. Nobody has connected Delhi's water table reduction or the aridification of Surajkund Lake, which used to be a beautiful lake, to eucalyptus. It's entirely due to eucalyptus and illegal mining and additionally illegal mining and things like that. But we figured that out too late, and we still can't fix the problem because too many people are now dependent on eucalyptus farming to chop those trees off. It doesn't matter if it's causing essentially an ecocide on water tables across India. So, we didn't figure it out. There are things where this actually helps us out. So, for example, because sterilization and this thing didn't work, birth control did not work, we have automatic birth control that happened without the need for state intervention. And state intervention might have screwed us up very, very badly artificially beforehand, like it's done with China. So, see, eucalyptus failure story, birth control success story. Stupidity may be, incompetence may be एक चमत्कार हो सकता है.
Something will work out. But having said that, if you will get to know 15 years down the line, let's talk Bengal, your favorite state. वहाँ पे तो even the Prime Minister was very confident कि बंगाल में तो हमारा seats बढ़ेगा, vote बढ़ेगा, सब बढ़ेगा. It went down.
So there were many things. A lot of my friends who are by no means friends of the BJP had gone there and told me, "Yaar, kuch to wave hai." See, and I'm not even talking about BJP friendly journalists here. I'm talking about Congress and SP friendly journalists who went there. Not so many Mamta friendly journalists who went there and were quite convinced that there was a wave. They were quite convinced that the 7-stage staggering of those elections would mean that there would be enough CRPF and other central paramilitary forces which would alleviate the sort of decimation of the BJP cadre that had happened, the fear factor that happened after 2021, and people would come out and vote. Now, clearly none of that happened. I think the classic case is of Mahua Moitra, who won with a much, much bigger margin than she had the last time, where the IB report apparently, well, everybody claims to have the IEB report. Have you seen the IB report? No. But IB ने बोला है ये है कि after Modi went there and campaigned, the tide turned against Mahua and it went with the Maharani of that place or whatever. Yes. How wrong were we? So, it's... The problem has always been कि statistics को कैसे interpret करें. How do we collect statistics out here? What is the meaning of a wave? How do you sense a change in mood? I don't know. I honestly don't know how you sense a change in mood.
Look, as a journalist, I can tell you that if you go out on the field, you can sense it. It's an intuitive thing. It's not statistical. You go out in the field. 2014 there was a definite wave against the Congress. It was not a Modi wave.
Okay.
2019 there was a definite wave in favor of Modi.
Right.
One could sense it.
But
this time there was no wave that one could sense.
But
again, I'm not talking statistics.
I don't think we saw it in 2019, but in 2014, yes, and it was a huge wave because there was an 8% increase in votes, which was, you could sense the palpable anger at the government. Yes. And that entire 8% plus so much more of the Congress vote share transferred to the BJP, right? The last time I think this happened was during the emergency, the 77 poll, where there was a 5% jump. There was also that there was an equal 5% jump. Was it 5 or 8%? I forget, in the post-emergency thing, and at least a 5% jump in the post-Indira Gandhi assassination poll in 1984. Anti-government and pro-government waves you can sense, but here with a dip, and see, there is no wave, because like I said, the BJP vote actually increased by 7 million votes. Yeah.
This time,
and the Congress increased by 1 or 2%. Significant, but still it's not a wave. There was no wave. So this is the problem with not having tangibility to mood badla hai. I mean, bhai, mood kaise badla hai? See, there has to be mood badla hai, there has to be a tangible explanation. You should be able to enumerate mood badla hai.
Yeah, but enumeration mein, the most popular Prime Minister continued to remain Modi in all the pre-poll surveys. exit polls, maybe it seemed that it was Modi, but clearly when the verdict came, it was not. It was not the case, not in the manner it. And the reason perhaps was because everything had become very localized, unlike what we've seen in our national elections so far. Having discussed what happened, let's just move to what next. What do you see? How do you see this whole oath taking ceremony? uh, big glittering ceremony at Rashtrapati Bhavan, but still, again, for the BJP supporters, it was
See,
majority nahi hai, non-majority BJP.
the
For the Congress supporters, obviously they were not very happy to see NDA swearing in. So it was just a very, uh, it was an event, yes. Again, just like this election, there was no big emotion attached to it.
this is such a typical Hindu mindset where a victory is, शोक समारोह में बदल जाता है. And where non-existent victories become these huge victories where you've gained so much and, whatever, what have you. I think Modi is under pressure now to perform. They have started course correction if they win the Maharashtra poll. If they don't win the Maharashtra poll, you can assume that something's gone badly awry with the feedback loop. They have not learned lessons from the 2024 election, which will also be, I think the Maharashtra election is going to be the bellwether for economic reforms as well. And for all the social reforms that they wanted, say one nation, one election. They have these long jargon words which are so difficult here.
Uniform civil code.
Uniform civil code, all of that. But equally, the regulatory reforms, what I call the Gautam Chikramani reforms that were spurred by his ORF paper. Let's see. It's a status quo cabinet which doesn't lend itself to the belief that there will be galloping reforms. Yet, if you go by Modi's history in Gujarat, the first term saw nothing, the second term saw significant reforms, the third term saw huge galloping reforms and growth. Is that what's going to happen here? I don't know.
And more so because it is an alliance government now. You're not a brute majority anymore.
But let's look at the alliance slightly differently. With 293 seats, who are the two biggest partners? TDP and JDU, each of whom have 13 and 11 seats, something like that. 13 nikalo, 11 nikalo. It still doesn't fall. If you individually take out 13, it doesn't fall below 272. And if you individually take out 11, it definitely doesn't fall below 272. You will need to have a coming together of the partners in order to execute this sort of toppling of the BJP government, number one. Number two, let's look at these two biggest constituents. Chandrababu Naidu's social and economic outlook is very different from Nitish Kumar's social and economic outlook. Nitish Kumar will not want, he wants a very socialist kind of a functioning pattern. Chandrababu Naidu wants a very capitalist, growth-friendly sort of thing. Where are they going to find common ground out here? I'm not too sure about that. Like I said, the enemy always finds it easiest to do what you think is impossible for him to do, hence the Dalit vote transference to the SP. Can they pull it off? Possibly. Will they pull it off? As of now,
looks dicey.
The question is, how far will you alienate them, and what will that alienation look like in order to prevent certain policies from being implemented? Because if you're going to go with pro-market policies, I still don't see how Nitish is going to have a problem with that. He'll want certain SOPs and things like that for Bihar. But is he going to have a problem with that? I'm not sure.
Right. But like, let's say Nitish Kumar, already having implemented the caste census in Bihar, that's going to become a sticking point perhaps later with this government. Or for instance, Chandrababu Naidu, the TDP sticking even after the elections and the results came in and the government was formed, very clearly saying that they're going to stick to the Muslim reservations that they've already given in their state. all those issues are not something that you can just brush under the carpet. They will pop their heads once the dust settles.
But these are all things that have already been done, right? The caste census has already been done in Bihar. The Muslim reservation has already been given in Andhra. What additionally is going to be given? I think that is where the contention will come up. And I think it's very easy for Chandrababu Naidu, Nitish Kumar, and Modi to go away saying, "अब जो हो गया है सो हो गया है,
अब आगे कैसे होगा?
आगे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है." So Chandrababu Naidu will not say more reservation. Nitish Kumar will not say one more census. And Modi will not insist on no and no for both. So I think this will really test, because this is the big question mark here is, does Modi have the ability? He has never run a government where he's been dependent on his majority for on the alliance partners, right? This will really test his alliance skills. देखते हैं क्या होता है.
It'll be interesting times. He'll have to take a leaf out of perhaps from the Atal Bihari Vajpayee regime of how to run an alliance government, but that too fell.
But see, that didn't go down well with the RSS, remember, because they felt that there was too much corruption happening at the center. There were too many wheeler dealers and name droppers who had been inducted there. In fact, Modi, the surprising thing is, Modi has actually been very close and true to RSS ideology, in the sense he's kept away from power, not from MP seats. Maybe that's where it went wrong. But from power turncoats. And of those 26 turncoat candidates, apparently 21 lost the election. So,
right. But I still haven't been able to wrap myself around, and which is, I keep hearing from a lot of people that the RSS doesn't really like Modi. What's your sense? Why don't they like Modi if they don't? I don't know.
I suppose they don't like personality cults. But here's the thing: when you've got such a great brand like Modi, it's stupid not to be using it, right? I mean, Modi is a very, very powerful brand. Why would you not use it? This is the guy that gave you an absolute majority not once but twice. It's like foisting on the BJP. It's telling the BJP to fight with one hand tied behind its back. See, you can have principles and things like that, but yudh mein, principles, even Krishna wasn't averse to hiding the sun and bending the rules and things like that. And, it's ultimately, it's this first principles of not doing what the RSS wants, that, Annamalai couldn't play caste politics the way he should have in Tamil Nadu. He was literally fighting with one hand tied behind his back. He's done fantastically well in spite of that, but he couldn't play caste politics because it's not the Hindutva cup of tea. How do you patch that over? Second is that I think the RSS was grooming Gadkari for the leadership, right? Modi was the sort of dark horse candidate, if you want to call it that.
He came out of syllabus.
Right. But again, Modi has been just as committed an RSS karyakarta throughout his life. He's never once broken ranks with the thing at that point of time. So, it's, again, I'm not buying this RSS abandoned the BJP theory so far, or they're upset with Modi per se. Maybe it's more, like khandan mein jab jhagda hota hai na, I mean, baap bete ka jhagda hota hai, but you don't kick the son out of the house.
Right.
So it's I don't think it's the break in relationship. It's, you should have done better. The typical Indian father, like, if you scored 99 out of 100 in maths, the dad is always like, हाँ, बस एक point का था, क्यों मैंने क्या, what did I leave? Was the AC not cold enough in your room? Was the double glazing not enough to cut they'll pretend like you've got 0 when you've got 99. So, it's that typical Indian daddy mentality. So, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, interesting. So going forward, there is Maharashtra, there is Jharkhand. Very interesting times ahead. Uh, but just to sort of dwell on this, you said that Maharashtra will be the test, the real test, where we will see whether BJP has course corrected or not. But more than that, when you say course corrected, politically, what course correction do you see?
I think they focus too much on tactics, which is splitting parties, rather than on actual issues on the ground. They thought tactics will compensate for, जब युद्ध में जाते हो, जितना भी tactics आप, जितनी भी आपके warriors वीर शौर्यवान होंगे, there is only so much you can do. It's, like Abhimanyu and the Chakravyuh. जब Chakravyuh होता है, Abhimanyu didn't lack valor, he didn't lack courage, he didn't lack skill, but there's only so much you can do. I think they were depending too much on this sort of breaking parties and taking away vote share game, and not focusing on real issues like on the ground. I do think, I may be wrong because I've still not gone into, well, when I say not gone into, I've not yet heard a convincing explanation of what happened in Maharashtra, which opinions abound, but
Yeah, but logically, it's very clearly a thumbs down from the voter for
clearly,
this, exactly
clearly.
this politics.
But which voter, on what subject, and why? That's what we don't know. Because everybody will say, oh, this was because of Maratha reservation, this was because of this was because of that, this is because of youth unemployment. In Bombay, they lost what, 4 out of the 6, 7
Yeah.
seats in Bombay.
Yeah.
And one, which was Poonam Mahajan's seat, Poonam Mahajan was a surefire winner out there. I mean, kiski beti hai, and she's done so much work out there. You get a completely new untested candidate out there who then loses it. Okay? Why did you do that? Right? I mean, when you've got a winning horse, why do you change that horse? Similarly, Darshana Jardosh, she did such a fantastic job with Surat, for example, but she was replaced halfway through. ठीक है, वो तो तुमने change कर लिया because all the opponents withdrew and everything like that. I still don't understand what happened with Maharashtra. I sure as hell hope they do, in their infinite wisdom. अभी 3-4 महीने रुको, दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो जाएगा.
Not just Maharashtra and Jharkhand and
also.
Haryana,
Yeah.
lots of interesting battles coming up. So, of course, very interesting times ahead. Thanks so much. Lots of nuggets from you, as usual, Abhijit. Defense analyst turned
Alleged.
political.
So, all my
political-
haters will say, alleged defense analyst, Lockheed Martin ka dalla, Boeing ka dalla, and God knows what else.
But turned political analyst.
Turned political
Turned
analyst.
political analyst. So now you'd like to be called a defense analyst or a political analyst?
Social commentator. Let's stick
Social
with that.
commentator. Oh my God. Okay. So in your typical social commentator style, can you just do a you have a character that you've built up, and I'm going to use it. So can you do your postmortem, or okay, your postmortem of 2024 and your warning for the BJP for Maharashtra?
Didn't pay attention, stop paying attention to JP Morgan and PricewaterhouseCooper. Start focusing more on your ground level feedback, because all the BJP ground level feedback from UP was telling me something is going wrong. I chose to ignore it, sure. I take complete responsibility for that. But for the BJP, who am I?
Exactly.
The BJP should have listened to its own ground level workers. Nahi kiya, start listening to them. One RSS karyakarta is worth 100 BJP karyakartas, if not more. And start doing a serious introspection. Don't fall for slogan-based introspection that exculpates you. And we'll see the results in Maharashtra. Maharashtra will determine, I don't think any poll, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, any poll has been more crucial for economic reforms or stock markets or the continued pace of reforms, possibly accelerated pace of other reforms, social reforms that we need, labor, land reforms that we need, than Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So I'm pessimistic about Maharashtra and Jharkhand, but then I get all my election predictions wrong.
So that you actually will predict rightly for the BJP.
So
For the
what-
BJP.
so what I'm
if
go-
you're pessimistic, that means it was optimistic.
No,
for
so
them.
I'm going to predict that the BJP is going to get wiped out in Maharashtra and Jharkhand.
Okay.
And that way I'll get my election prediction wrong, hopefully.
All right, good one. Thank you so much, Abhijit. Thank you for your time. Thank you, viewers, for watching this conversation. I dare not call it a podcast. I think this was more a free-flowing conversation, a drawing room conversation
room
in a studio set.
conversation,
But thank you so much for watching this conversation. We'll come back to you with more. Stay tuned to the Times of India.